All right, everyone, welcome back. So you guys really threw us for a loop with this one. Kendrick Lamar's Super Bowl halftime show, a deep dive.
Yeah, a lot to unpack.
Seriously. And, we've got a whole stack of YouTube videos to dig through here from No Life Shack, Blackie Speaks, New Rock Stars, even Bobby Foster. Everybody's got their take. But let me tell you, after watching these, there's so much more going on beneath the surface here.
It's really interesting how what a lot of people probably saw as a pretty straightforward performance
Totally.
is actually layered with symbolism and cultural commentary, you know?
It's like Kendrick Lamar snuck a whole college thesis about, blackness in the American dream into a 15-minute set.
Yeah,
Wild. And these YouTubers are, giving us the cheat codes to decode it all.
absolutely. And one thing that really jumped out at me was how many of them zeroed in on Samuel L. Jackson.
Oh, yeah.
Uncle Sam, right?
Yeah, Uncle Sam, what's he doing there?
Right. Not your typical Super Bowl guest, right?
Not at all.
So it's almost like Kendrick's placing himself right in the heart of the American system, playing the American game, as New Rock Stars put it,
Oh, I like that.
but doing it on his own terms as a black artist in America.
Totally. And, you gotta love No Life Shack.
Yeah, haha.
He had that hilarious reaction when Uncle Sam showed up. He was like, I hate Uncle Sam. I hate paying taxes.
Oh, man, I know, I was dying. But it's funny because it really illustrates this whole theme that runs throughout the performance, this idea of the system, profiting off of black artists,
Mm-hmm.
while at the same time trying to control them, right?
Totally.
And it actually reminded me of a lyric from Kendrick's Wesley's Theory off of To Pimp a Butterfly. Uncle Sam, I'm your dog motherfucker, 40 acres and a mule.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It's all about those unfulfilled promises and that feeling that the game is rigged and black artists are forced to play it.
Absolutely. It's like he's using this Super Bowl stage to address that tension head on. And speaking of games, New Rockstars pointed out something super interesting about the stage design. It's intentionally made to look like a PlayStation controller.
It is.
Did you catch that?
Oh, yeah, yeah. And the director of the show actually confirmed that, the video game theme was totally deliberate.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is brilliant. And it's like Kendrick is literally navigating this game with all of its pre-programmed rules and obstacles,
Oh, I see.
and they're seemingly designed to hold him back.
Right. And New Rockstars even went so far as to say that, it represents a system where black people are set up to lose from the start.
Yeah, they did.
And Blackie Speaks added another layer to this, saying that Kendrick is both benefiting from the system by being on that stage and being constrained by it at the same time.
For sure.
He's kind of winning the game on their terms, but also exposing how rigged it is in the process.
Exactly. And you feel that tension throughout the whole performance, that there's this constant feeling of Kendrick being told to down and play the game the way America wants him to. Don't rock the boat too much.
Yeah, for sure. It's even said out loud by Samuel L. Jackson. He literally says to Edric, too loud, too reckless, too ghetto.
It's crazy because those are almost the exact words some critics actually use to describe the performance after the fact.
Whoa.
It's like Kendrick knew what was coming.
Yeah, it's almost like he anticipated that backlash. He knew that by choosing to perform songs that were less commercially popular, more politically charged, all right, and Man at the Garden.
Yeah.
He knew he was going to ruffle some feathers.
Definitely. He could have easily just, played all the hits and kept everybody happy.
Right.
But that's not what he did.
No, he didn't. And Bobby Foster picked up on something really powerful in his breakdown. He points out the moment right after Samuel L. Jackson tells Kendrick to tone it down.
Uh-huh.
What's Kendrick do? He goes straight into humble.
Oh, yeah.
And he's standing right on top of the American flag.
What a statement.
You can't get much more defiant than that.
No, you can't.
He's saying, you want me to play by your rules? Fine. This is how I play.
Yeah.
And it's all happening on the biggest stage in America.
Yeah.
During the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Which, often is seen as a symbol of American culture, conformity.
Right. And it's this deliberate subversion of expectations. It's brilliant.
Okay, so this is where things get really, really interesting. Throughout the performance, there are all these references to Drake.
Yeah.
But he's never actually there.
No, he's not.
Drake himself, I mean.
Right. It's not really about Drake as a person,
Yeah.
but rather what he represents.
I see.
The Blackie Speaks argues that Drake, in this context, is a symbol for the artist who just effortlessly plays the game,
Uh-huh.
never challenges the system,
Right.
achieves success without, rocking the boat too much.
The opposite of what Kendrick's doing.
Exactly.
Like two different paths to success.
Yeah.
One through conformity, the other through, disruption.
Exactly.
Oh, and No Life Shack had that funny moment where he was like a little bummed that Kendrick didn't do the full version of Not Like Us,
Oh,
which
yeah.
apparently was due to legal issues.
Really?
Yeah, it was something about sample clearances or something. I don't know.
Interesting. Because, that's a great point because it actually illustrates the real world constraints that even a star like Kendrick has to deal with.
That's true.
It kind of plays into this whole thing about the system trying to control artistic expression, even on a stage like the Super Bowl.
Absolutely. Oh, and we can't forget Serena Williams doing the crip walk during Not Like Us.
Oh, man.
What a moment, right?
So good. Blackie Speaks interprets that as a double clapback at Drake, given their history, and at the system itself, remembering all the controversy around Serena and the crip walk in the past.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Like she's reclaiming that space, that expression.
Yeah, she is.
Using it to stand in solidarity with Kendrick's message.
Yeah, it all ties back into that idea of the system trying to police Black expression, like dictate what's acceptable, what's not.
Right. It's a reminder that even on a stage as grand as the Super Bowl, that fight for artistic freedom, especially for Black artists, it's ongoing.
Absolutely. There's just so much packed into a single performance.
It's incredible, right?
It's amazing.
And we're just getting started.
I know. Okay, so one of the lines that I found really, really thought-provoking in this whole thing is when Samuel L. Jackson says to Kendrick, "I see you brought your homeboys with you."
Yeah.
The old cultural cheat code.
Woof.
It's like so loaded.
What a statement, right?
What does that even mean?
And Blackie Speaks, I think, really hit the nail on the head with their interpretation of that line.
Okay, yeah, what'd they say?
It's about how the industry tries to exploit Black culture for profit while simultaneously trying to control it.
Oh, wow.
Kendrick and his dancers, they're like the embodiment of that cheat code.
Interesting.
That raw talent, that energy that the industry wants to package and sell.
Wow. And it's made even more striking by the visual contrast, right? You've got Kendrick and his crew. They're like representing that authentic Black culture.
Right.
And then you have these like white-clad dancers that appear during Our Right.
Right. And Blackie Speaks even suggests that those dancers could be like a subtle nod to the KKK.
Oh, wow.
Highlighting this, historical suppression of Black expression in America.
Man, that puts a whole new spin on things, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It makes you think about who's really benefiting when Black culture is, like, brought to a stage like the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Is it a celebration? Is it appropriation? Or is it a bit of both,
It's a really good question. And speaking of thought-provoking moments, we got to talk about the line that, like, everybody's been buzzing about. The revolution will be televised.
Yeah.
What a statement.
Powerful, right?
It's powerful.
Bobby Foster connects this directly to Kendrick's, mission statement with this performance. He's saying, look, I'm bringing this revolution to the Super Bowl, whether America is ready for it or not.
It's true. He's putting these ideas, social change, racial justice, right there in the spotlight, on the biggest stage imaginable. But then he ends the performance with TV off.
Interesting.
It's like he's subverting that whole idea of like a televised revolution.
It's such a fascinating choice, and there are a lot of different interpretations out there,
Yeah.
Blackie Speaks sees it as a call for Black America to, reject the media's control, to think for themselves and reclaim their own narrative.
I like that.
And then Bobby Foster takes more of a, universal approach.
Okay.
He suggests that it's a message to everybody, just to disconnect from distractions and the constant barrage of information and, engage more deeply with the real world.
It's really interesting,
Yeah.
because no matter how you interpret it, it's clear that Kendrick's, challenging us to think critically about the media we consume, the messages we internalize,
Yeah.
and the systems that shape our world.
He's asking us to go deeper, to look beyond the surface, and to question everything.
That's what makes this performance so much more than just entertainment.
Right.
It's a statement.
It's a challenge, a call to action.
He's using his art to, spark a conversation, pushes out of our comfort zones and into a space of critical thinking and reflection.
Exactly. And while, millions of people might have just seen a musical performance, thanks to these YouTubers, we're able to unlock those deeper layers of meaning and really get the full scope of Kendrick's message.
They're giving us the tools to decode all the symbolism, the cultural references, the social commentary that's woven into every single aspect of this performance.
It's like they're handing us the cheat codes to unlock the full potential of Kendrick's art.
That's a great way to put it.
So with those insights in mind, we want to turn it over to you, our listener, and ask, what do you think Kendrick was trying to say with this performance?
Yeah, what resonated with you? What challenged your assumptions?
We'll dive deeper into those questions and more right after this. It's really amazing how he takes this platform, the Super Bowl, and uses it to critique the very systems that allowed him to get there.
Right. And there's this constant tension between, like, playing the game, you know, and pushing back against it.
Yeah, like he's trying to succeed within a system that wants to, like, control him in a way, define him.
Especially as a Black artist.
Yeah, like they want to decide what's acceptable, what's marketable, And Samuel L. Jackson's Uncle Sam character really embodies that pressure.
He does. He's like the voice of the establishment.
Right, telling Kendrick to tone it down, be less ghetto.
Yeah. Too loud, too reckless, too ghetto. Like, literally the same words some critics use to describe the performance.
I know, right? It's uncanny. Like, Kendrick saw it all coming.
Totally. Yeah, he could have just played it safe, sticking to the radio hits.
Right.
But he chose to do All Right, Man at the Garden songs that addressed these, like, really complex social issues.
It's deliberate. He's using this platform to make a statement.
Yeah, even if it means alienating some of the audience.
Absolutely. And it's not just the songs, it's the visuals, too. Bobby Foster pointed out that moment where Kendrick is told to tighten up, and his response is to launch into humble
Oh, yeah.
while standing on top of the American flag.
Wow. Talk about symbolism.
So powerful, right? Like he's taking these symbols that have been used to oppress Black people and reclaiming them.
For his own message.
Exactly.
It's so bold, especially in the context of the Super Bowl.
Right, the Super Bowl, this like ultimate symbol of American culture and unity.
Yeah.
And here's Kendrick, a Black artist, challenging all of that.
Forcing us to look at America in a different light.
Yeah, to confront the complexities of what it means to be Black in America.
And this is where those Drake references get really interesting.
Yeah, they're not really about Drake himself, but more about what he represents.
Yeah, like Blackie Speaks said, Drake is that artist who seamlessly plays the game.
Achieves mainstream success without making any waves.
The opposite of what Kendrick is doing.
Exactly. It's like two paths, one through conformity, one through disruption.
And Kendrick's not saying one is better than the other.
No, he's just showing us the different ways Black artists navigate the system.
Yeah. And remember how No Life Shack was bummed that Kendrick didn't do the full version of Not Like Us?
Oh, yeah, because of those legal issues.
Right.
It's like, even on a stage this big, there are still limits to what Kendrick can do.
That's true. There are forces that are trying to control him even at the Super Bowl.
Yeah. And speaking of pushing boundaries, how about that moment with Serena Williams doing the Crip Walk?
I know.
So good. So powerful. Blackie Speaks called it a double clap back at Drake because of their past and at the system itself.
Yeah, I see that.
Remember all that controversy surrounding Serena and the Crip Walk? Now she's reclaiming it.
On the biggest stage.
At the Super Bowl. It's incredible.
Yeah, like you can't silence her.
No, you can't. She's using her platform to celebrate Black culture on her own terms.
Love it. So many layers to this performance, and one of the most thought-provoking lines for me was Samuel L. Jackson saying, I see you brought your homeboys with you, the old cultural cheat code.
Oh, man, that line gave me chills.
It's so loaded.
It really is. Blackie Speaks nailed it. I think it's about how the industry sees Black culture as a commodity.
Interesting.
Something to exploit for profit.
Right, like they want to package it and sell it.
Exactly, and they want to control it, too.
It ties into that visual contrast, too, right?
Yeah.
Between Kendrick and his dancers representing authentic Black culture. And then those white-clad dancers during, all right.
Remember what Blackie Speaks said about them?
Yeah, a possible nod to the KKK.
It makes you wonder who really benefits from this performance.
Right. Is it celebration or is it appropriation?
And both.
It's a question worth asking,
Yeah.
for sure. And speaking of questions, we got to talk about that line. The revolution will be televised.
What a statement, right?
The chills.
Bobby Foster connects it to Kendrick's purpose here. He's bringing the revolution to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Whether America's ready or not.
It's true. He's putting those ideas front and center, social change, racial justice, all on the biggest stage imaginable.
Right, and then he ends with TV off.
It's almost like a contradiction.
It is, but Blackie Speaks sees it as a call to action for Black America.
Okay.
Like, reject the media's control. Think for yourselves. Reclaim your narrative.
I like that. And Bobby Foster has a more universal take on it.
Right. He thinks it's a message for everyone to disconnect from the noise and engage with the real world.
It's so interesting how one lines can have so many interpretations.
It is, and no matter how you see it, Kendrick's challenging us to think critically.
About the media, the messages we see, the systems that shape our world?
Yeah, he's asking us to look beyond the surface and question everything.
That's what makes this performance so much more than just entertainment.
Right. It sparks conversations, it challenges assumptions, it forces us to engage with these really complex
And we're
issues.
so lucky to have these YouTubers breaking it all down for us.
Yeah, they're helping us understand the nuances and the layers of meaning.
They're giving us the tools to decode the symbolism, the cultural references, the social commentary.
It's like they're handing us the cheat codes to unlock the full potential of Kendrick's art.
So with all of that in mind, we want to turn it back to you, the listener, and ask, what did you think Kendrick was trying to say?
Yeah, what moments resonated with you? What challenged your assumptions? What questions did it raise?
We'll continue exploring those questions as we wrap up our deep dive into Kendrick Lamar's Super Bowl halftime show. So we've spent this deep dive really digging into Kendrick's Super Bowl performance, and it's wild how he's using this massive platform to kind of critique the system that got him there.
Yeah, it's like a high wire act, balancing between playing the game and rebelling against it at the same time.
Absolutely, and you can feel that tension all the way through. It's like he's constantly being told to not rock the boat too much.
Right, like calm down, don't get too political, just entertainers.
And remember how the stage itself was literally designed to look like a video game controller.
Oh, yeah, that was brilliant.
Like he's moving through this pre-programmed system, pushing buttons, trying to break free.
It's a powerful metaphor for the constraints that Black artists face.
Totally. And that's what makes this performance so much more than just a show. It's a statement. It's a conversation starter.
He's using every element, the songs, the visuals, the choreography, to make us think about these really complex issues.
Yeah, race representation, the commodification of Black culture.
And he's not shying away from the uncomfortable stuff.
Not at all. He's pushing those buttons and making us confront some hard truths.
Like Bobby Foster pointed out, that moment when Kendrick is told he's too ghetto, and he immediately launches into humble while standing on top of the American flag.
Oh yeah, that was powerful.
Such a bold statement.
He's taking these symbols of America and reclaiming them for his own message.
It's like he's saying, you can't define me, I define myself.
And that's where those comparisons to Drake come in. They're not about a personal rivalry, but about two different ways of navigating the system.
Exactly. Blackie Speaks talked about how Drake is the artist who effortlessly plays the game.
Right. He finds success within the existing structure.
While Kendrick is the disruptor, he's challenging the rules.
And it's not about saying one approach is better than the other.
No, it's about showing the different options that Black artists have and the complexities of those choices.
And those choices aren't always easy. Remember No Life Shack being bummed about the shortened version of Not Like Us.
Yeah, those legal constraints are a real thing.
It's like, even on a stage as big as the Super Bowl, there are limits on what Kendrick can say and do.
It shows that even at the highest level, Black artists still face these barriers.
Absolutely. And then there's that incredible moment with Serena Williams doing the Crip Walk.
Oh man, chills.
What a statement of solidarity.
And Blackie Speaks called it a double clapback at Drake and at the system itself.
Totally. She's reclaiming a dance that was once considered controversial or even dangerous.
It's about earning her Blackness and her expression.
And speaking of challenging the system, we have to go back to that line from Samuel O. Jackson, the old cultural cheat code.
So much packed into those few words.
Right. It really exposes how Black culture is often seen as a commodity to be exploited.
Like they want the talent and the energy, but they don't want the complexities, the history, the struggle.
And Kendrick is refusing to let them simplify his art. He's presenting Black culture in all its fullness, its richness, its power.
And then he ends the whole thing with TV off, which opens up a whole other layer of interpretation.
Blackie Speaks and Bobby Foster both had really interesting takes on that line.
Yeah, it's like he's saying that revolution might be televised, but the real work starts when you turn off the TV and engage with the real world.
It's a call to action to think critically, to challenge the status quo, to fight for a better future.
And Kendrick has given us so much to think about with this performance.
So much to unpack.
And thanks to these amazing YouTubers, we have the tools to do that.
They've helped us understand the symbolism, the cultural references, the social commentary.
They've given us the cheap codes to unlock the full meaning of Kendrick's art.
And now it's your turn, listener. What did you see in this performance?
What resonated with you? What challenged you? What questions are you left with?
We hope this deep dive has sparked something in you, a desire to learn more, to think critically, to engage with these important conversations.
Because the real work starts now. It's up to all of us to carry this message forward and create the world we want to see.
Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey into Kendrick Lamar's Super Bowl halftime show. We'll be back soon with another deep dive into the world of art and ideas.